Hey guys, hope everyone's doing really well today or tonight. I want to make a quick video on the importance of taking action and why really it's the only thing that matters. Now, a lot of people kind of, and me included, right, used to consume a lot of content, consume a lot of motivational content, read a lot of books about, starting your first business or maybe investing in real estate or, you know, getting a new job, whatever it is, right? I used to just consume so much content around it, but I just wouldn't do anything about it. Now, it'd be great to kind of, I could read or consume content. I might be able to write down and just say, oh, this sounds really cool. But I would never do anything about it, right? So I've, I've since I realized that last year in 2024, and I decided to actually make some changes and action the things that were on my list, and it's worked out extremely well. Obviously, it's super scary to take action and change things, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on it and why it was so pivotal to changing my life in 2024. And really, if you want to make some change in 2025, why taking action is really the only thing that matters. Now, big picture, right? If someone asked me just why blanket statement, I would say it creates momentum, right? People move forward by taking action, and even if it's crazy at the time, for example, SpaceX with Elon Musk, maybe Amazon with Jeff Bezos, maybe Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg. These were all crazy things at the time that people they didn't really understand, and it was kind of a little bit confusing to talk about because they'd be like, "Are you crazy? Like this isn't a thing." Now, a lot of things started that way, right? And a lot of things have failed, right? They haven't actually been successful. But those things that do seem crazy at the time, I even remember Uber. Like, not many people thought that you would be hopping into a random person's car and, travel and then get out like a taxi, but just more, ad hoc. You can call them whenever you want, and they'll pop up to your door in 5 minutes. It's pretty crazy, but people wouldn't have been able to organize those things or even give them a go without actually taking some action. Now, you know, it's great to like learn about these things and you know just say wow how cool it is that they actually gave it a go. But these are the kind of things that you shouldn't do. Like just take that and then from that realize that action is what you should be doing. Now, another thing I got sucked into was the whole morning routines and setups kind of thing, content. Now, that was, for example, if people were doing a routine where they brush their teeth, they might meditate, they might journal, maybe take a cold plunge, and it's great, right? But the reality is, right, if someone says this is my $1 million morning routine, they can be doing all these things, but when's the work actually done? Now they might have a team doing all their work, etc. But the reality is, they didn't start that way unless they'd already previously had some success. So I think that this type of content's kind of BS in a way. The reality is people aren't gonna do any good without taking action. I also think setups are the same, and by setups I mean, for example, a coding student, right? They might have a ThinkPad, maybe some kind of you know ebook or sorry e-tablet, and maybe a notebook, maybe a nice pen. Like these little things are really cool and they seem really interesting to me, but the reality is I'm just sitting there watching them um, take action, and I'm taking notes and saying this is really cool, but I'm not doing anything myself. So the important thing to take from that is, um, you know, take some action. Don't just if you find something cool that they're doing, then implement that yourself. Now back to again why action is so important. The most successful people in the world, for example, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Sam Altman, who co-founded ChatGPT, also sorry OpenAI, I believe. They all took action. They all took risks, and it was scary at the time, but it paid off. And it might not have paid off as their very first thing, but over time it pays off. If you averaged out the amount of failures versus the amount of success they've had, they might have had a million failures, but they've had a million and one in successes. Now, action again, in terms of creating momentum, is the only thing that matters, right? You can do everything else. You can meditate, you can journal, you can consume content, you can reminisce about how great it would be to do XYZ. But unless you're actually doing or contributing to create make that happen, it's just not going to happen. It's impossible. So action should be the only thing that you take away from all the content you consume or all the motivational inspiration you hear about. Now, you might be hearing about how important action actually is, right? But if you still don't kind of have the want to actually take action, what's stopping you? Now, progress will always beat perfection. There is no perfect time and no perfect outcome. I think this is really important just because a lot of people feel like they have to get it right from the get go. And the reality is there's no guarantee. It's actually very unlikely you're going to hit it right from the get go. It's more of a progress, progress, progress. Failure, I think, as well, is also key to anything successful that's ever happened. People don't just become successful overnight. They fail a lot. They're open to failing. They're willing to fail, and then they're able to achieve a really good outcome. But it's all about them taking action and knowing that if they fail, they'll take what they've learned and implement it to the next. Entrepreneurs, they start from nothing, right? For the most part, some might have lots of money, or they might have connections, whatever it may be, right? But they're able to kind of with the resources that they have, which usually isn't a lot, they'll create an MVP or minimum viable product. They'll show that to people, and for the most part, they get a lot of feedback from that. They might get a lot of people saying it's rubbish. They might get a lot of people saying, oh, there's potential here. But the idea is that they grab that, they take the feedback, and then they improve that over time. So then they're able to kind of create a product that to the end user looks amazing, but on the back end they might have had 100 different or more revisions or feedbacks or mini failures, as you'd call it. I think as well, when you think about what's stopping you, I think actually kind of, and they call this exposure therapy, but actually just diving into it and just taking action will break the fear cycle. I think you'll end up realizing that it is okay to fail. It is okay to fail, and it's even encouraged. So don't feel like you're going to be seen as a failure because you failed. The only time you're going to be seen as a failure is if you stop, and you stop because you've hit a road bump, or you haven't gotten the results that you've expected. That's when you actually fail. It's when you actually stop. So don't stop. I think as well, just being able to, if you were to kind of say, you know what, I understand now that action is important and I want to give it a go. I think the biggest thing here is just to start small. For a lot of people, they're not used to taking action. They're used to kind of procrastinating or coming up with excuses or um, relaxing. I mean, for the most part, it is a lot easier and in the short term more rewarding to relax. So why would you actually act on things? But if you really want something, I think it's important to, yeah, start small and prioritize your action. And it doesn't matter if it's not great. No one's great when they first start. For the most part, they're always terrible. Even I'm not at my peak right now. That's for sure. Mr. Beast didn't start out fantastic. He had to work up to where he's at right now. But yeah, I think as part of taking action, this is something that you should embrace. It's part of the journey, and it's something inevitable that people will go through, and they can either come out successful, quote unquote, once they beat all the odds, or it seems like that they beat all the odds, but the reality is it's just lots and lots of work and lots of late nights and lots of no's before they've actually been able to get to this success you see. Now, if this sounds really good, here are a couple tips for taking action, and this worked for me personally as well. So I set goals and systems, right? And that could be, for example, release one YouTube video, or it could be, post a short, or it could be write one page of a new book. Maybe spend 30 minutes learning about a new marketing skill or Google Ad spend, for example. Set those goals, right? And they can be big or small, but if they are bigger, then break them down into specific and measurable timelines. So if you want to say, I want to be healthy and fit, right? Well, what does it take to be healthy and fit? It takes exercise, hydration, diet, community, being involved with other people that actually want to lose weight as well. So you kind of break that down and then kind of assign different tasks. So it might be go to the gym once a day. It might be start tracking your macros. It might be join a gym. There's lots of different ways you can break it down, but it's whatever works really well for you. Another really good tip is you don't want to, and I see a lot of people doing this, especially with New Year's resolutions, but you shouldn't set goals for the outcome, right? You should set them for the action. So it's really hard to measure get healthy, all right? But it's a lot easier to measure run 3 times a week. Now, will the result be getting healthy? Yeah, it could be. So set it for actual things they're items that you can actually do, and they're very clear cut. You've either done it or you haven't. If you just say get healthy, who's to say you've got healthy or not? It's pretty hard to measure that. Another really good tip for taking action is to integrate reminders and just have that motivation around you. And that could include things like a vision board where you might pin up some photos of people who inspire you. It could be influencers, it could be people in your own personal life. It might be, say, a certificate of a degree you've been able to achieve. Whatever it is that motivates you, it could be a dream car, for example, also. But maybe pin those up, and you could have that as a reminder, either physically in your bedroom, for example, or as a wallpaper on one of your phones, or your phone or your laptop. I think as well having a accountability partner around you, so just someone that can kind of either train with you if you want to get healthy, or someone who wants to do YouTube with you, will make things a lot easier, right? You can kind of share that journey with someone and learn from each other as well, which is awesome if you're able to find someone. There are also people obviously you can pay like mentors that can assist you with this, but if you're able to find someone who you already know who's really keen and is willing to fail and willing to learn, that would be really cool. Now, the last point here: if something isn't working, you should be willing to pivot and try something new, right? But this is only if you really don't think it's going anywhere and you've tried everything you possibly can, you've gotten all the feedback, you've taken the advice and nothing's working, then fair enough. But if you're giving up after one post and it's not getting the traction you thought, I don't think that's a good thing to do. Just because when you set really unrealistic expectations from the get go, you're always going to be disappointed, right? So when I say something isn't working, that doesn't mean getting a million views overnight. When something genuinely isn't working, and it's either because you don't enjoy it, or what you're creating, or what you're doing, or your approach isn't correct. Now, there's always going to be a way to tailor things and improve things. And whether or not you take that, I would encourage you to do so. But if you're not able to do that, and you just want to try something different, you're sick of this, then that's fine. But keep going. And yeah, don't just give up entirely, because that's when you actually fail. So yeah, hopefully you guys have found this video valuable to some degree. The most important thing is taking action. Right now, I'm taking action and making this video. I'm taking action to get myself out of bed early in the morning, earlier than normal, to record videos, before I have to work or before I have to do other things. So yeah, that's the most important thing. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.